Oh, I need to get a new filter. It's like knackered.
It doesn't look right, whatever it is.
I've been putting this off for a long time, but I think it's time to replace my polarizing filter. It's covered in scratches and marks, and it's going to be hard to show you this in the video, but it's really hard to twist it. It seems to lock, and then it gets to a point, and then it'll just, nope, it's all locked today. It's on its last legs. So what I've done is I've ordered a new one and got that one here. I use the Hoyer ones. There's loads of different makes available, but I found these are pretty reliable. I'm not sponsored. These have all been paid for with my money. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to head out and get some photos. What I'm hoping is going to be the case is that the new one is miles better. I've been putting off buying this for a long time, just because it's £50 for the filter, and like everyone else, I've got other problems too. I don't want to be spending £50 all the time. I'm also curious to see how the scratches affect this. Maybe it's got more life in it, and maybe I've bought too early, but I can't see how it's a good thing to have all them scratches on. They've all come from general use. I do look after my equipment, but it does get used a lot, and it's often out in bad situations. Like you'll be up on the mountains, it'll be hailing and snowing, and you'll be wiping the filter every 10 to 20 seconds. And when it's windy like this, crap just gets blown onto the lenses, and maybe just rub it in and cause more scratches. Or maybe it's from when I've been in between shots and I didn't want the filter on, and I've chucked it in my bag and then found it at the end of the day in the bottom of the bag. But I guess we'll never know. The main thing is we've got a new one and an old one, and we're going to compare those. So I'm going to head out and grab those, and we'll catch up on the big screen later. I've just got in and I've pulled up the pictures onto the laptop. I know I said that I wanted to get a composition that I liked, but I couldn't find any nice light, so I've just got some pictures where you can see the polarizing effect. And what I've done is I've taken a before picture just so that you can see what the scene looks like without the polarizing effect, and then I've done it with the polarizer. And I've done that just because whenever I do this kind of video, there's always someone that says that's not when you use a polarizer, or that's not when you use that kind of technique, and you can clearly see there that it is. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you that before picture, and then what we're going to do is put the two filters side by side, and then we can zoom around and compare the differences. I've tried to keep the composition as same as possible, but there might be some slight movements. And these are also raw files. As you can see on the right here, I haven't changed anything, and that's just to keep it a fair test really. I've labelled the new filter with 2 stars and the old filter with 1 star. I might write on it afterwards what it is, but we'll jump into it now. So the first photo is this scene here. You've got a bit of water, you've got the water's edge, and there's some reeds and some rocks. You can't see through the water here, but we'll see how it looks with the polarizer. On the left is a new filter, and on the right is the old one. The one on the left looks a little bit darker, but there's going to be some changes in light, but we'll look at the overall effect. So I think we'll start down here in the bottom right and see how sharp it looks. This nettle looks sharper on the right. The rock looks sharper on the right. This isn't a good start. Then it's about the same in the middle. The water's clearer on the old filter, and it's a little bit glary on the left. I'm going to put this down to user error. Maybe I didn't twist it all the way. I can't see why it couldn't cut out just as much because it's the same filter, just a bit newer. There's nothing that's jumping out that's like bad. There's a little bit of movement in the leaves and in the plants, but that's because it was windy down there. You could see that in the back of the video before. But where there's no movement, everything's sharp. I think the old filter has done a better job there, but I think that's my fault for not twisting the polarizer enough. But we'll give it to the old filter anyway and move on to the next one. We've got 3 photos, so we should have a clear winner by the end. And this is the next photo. This is how it looks before the polarizer, and that's after. You can see a big difference in this area here and down in this area here. Side by side and zoomed out. There's not a big difference, other than I think the white balance is slightly different. The water's a little bit darker on the old filter, but we'll zoom in and have a look. We'll start at the back this time. I focused at the front of the scene, so this area is slightly out of focus, but the polarized effect is basically the same. The greens are pretty much the same. And if we look at this water area here, it's cutting off in the same place. It does look a bit sharper on the left, like it looks a bit more blue maybe, but that could just be because of the light. And then as we make our way to the front, you can see all the rocks under the water. It doesn't look that different to me. Both those leaves are sharp. I don't know, what do you think? I can't see any differences. This leaf down here is sharp on both. I was expecting there to be more problems on the edges. But I don't see any massive difference really. I'd be happy with the sharpness on either of those. On the, oh, what's this? Oh, we've got a bit of a defect on the new one. Why would that happen? There's a faint bit there, but it's worse on this one. Maybe that's just the sunlight. Yeah, I'm going to put that down to being the sunlight. I'm a little bit concerned about that bit, but I prefer the contrast up here. I think I'm going to call this one a draw, and this is the last photo. I've gone for a wider shot on this one. It would have been better if the sun was a bit harsher, but you can still see the difference in the water. So that's before and that's after. Mainly affects the water in this one. And side by side, the one on the right looks a little bit darker to me. So the grass looks sharp on both. The reeds are sharp. Got some birds. The birds look just as sharp on both pictures. Got the cows back there as well. And they look about the same. Side by side, I'm struggling to pick out the differences. It's just like the same, but differences in the weather. I'm not convinced that makes that much difference. Other than in bad weather, it's going to be different for everyone. Maybe you've got different problems to me, but I think I've just rubbed off the lens coating, and now it's just not good in wet weather. But if it's sunny, I can't see any problem with using this. It hasn't affected the sharpness, it hasn't affected the colours, and it hasn't affected the polarising effect. So, other than being pretty ugly, I can't really see that much of a downside to this. One positive thing I can think of about changing this though is it is something that plays on my mind quite a lot. We were up on side pike the other day and I was having problems with it. I couldn't get the water off, and I think I missed some of the better light, and it's going to be nice knowing that I don't have that excuse anymore. I think I just like getting rid of excuses. For some reason I'm happy if it's my fault, but I don't like blaming other things, so I can't blame that anymore. It's going to be down to my technique. But yeah, I don't really know what to say. That isn't the result I expected. But I hope you found that helpful. Some of you might be in the same boat as me, and maybe you don't need to buy a new filter. Maybe you can invest it into something else. But let me know what you think and your experiences. Maybe I missed something. I'm going to be using this new one from now on and keeping that one as a backup. But I don't think it's going to affect the images that much. But I hope you liked the video and found it helpful. And I'll see you next time. I was convinced that was going to be worse.